Hello, Paul Hamilton here from UTB. We're going to make this colourful, beautiful, sweet-looking donut today with Procreate 5.2 because we can now bring in 3D objects. I'm going to show you through and how to actually create this from scratch. It's super cool. We love 3D. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Padlet that I've created now. I'll put the link in the description here. Basically, this is where you can watch this tutorial, but you can also, over here on the left here, you can download the blank donut, the 3D model that doesn't have anything on it, because we want to be able to work with some 3D. So I'm just going to click on down here, and you can see it opens it up in AR. If I click on the AR section just here, it'll try and open it in AR. I can go up to Object at the top and just view my donut, or I can go up to the Share button at the top here, go right, and I can save that donut to my files. That will get me the USDZ file. So I might rename that just so I know where it is. Let's call that donut template tutorial.usdz. And that is what we're going to import into Procreate. I'm going to save it somewhere where I can find it on my iPad or in the recents or star it. And now I'm in Procreate. Let's go up to Import. So we'll import that once. We'll go to the space in recent there. You can see it there. And voila, we've got our beautiful donut in our 3D space. So first thing I want you to do is just have a little bit of a play. Scroll around with your fingers, with your iPad pencils, Apple pencils. Sorry, I just scroll around, make sure that you're really comfortable on viewing it at different areas. Now, this is not a tutorial for Procreate, so hopefully you've got a little bit of experience. But the first thing is just zoom around, make sure you're really comfortable. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to go up to my layers and I'm going to create a brand new layer. Now I can turn that donut on and off, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go up and create a new layer, and that's going to be the basis of my color. So I'm going to try and select here. Let's have a look for a donut kind of color. So I'm looking for that kind of pale brown, yellowy type dough kind of color. So have a play around with it, and I'm just going to drag that circle. I'm going to drag that circle directly onto my donut, and that will fill it all up. It's a little bit yellowy, but that's going to be great with my kind of pink color too. I could probably get a little bit more natural looking. I'll let you guys select the exact right color. Then we're going to go up to our layers again. We're going to do this a lot. We're going to create a brand new layer, and this is going to be our pink icing layer. So let's go to that. That's looking good. And I'm going to select my pink. So look for that kind of pink frosting slash icing type color that's going to contrast beautifully with our donut color. It's a little bit yellow, but that's okay. That looks pretty good, I think. Then I'm going to go to my brushes, and I'm going to go to my airbrushing and select kind of a medium or a soft kind of airbrush. And you can play around with this. If you want a better effect, you might be able to find one that's better than mine. I'm going to increase my brush size, because I'm just going to do really broad strokes over the top. Now, the key to this is make sure that you go straight to bird's eye view. Make sure that you really go to bird's eye view so that you're going to get that top element with your icing. And I'm just going to quickly do broad strokes over the top. How good does that look? Within seconds, I've got that beautiful cover. Now, you can go on and do a little bit more with that. You could change your textures. I'm going to leave it at that. It looks pretty good because today's just a basic introductory. I might kind of raise my brush a little bit to get a little bit more coverage. I could definitely look at it from different angles, but I just think it covers that top icing bit really, really well. If you want a bit more of an icing feel, you could go with a harder brush, an airbrush. I'm going to create a brand new layer here, and on top of my pink icing, I'm going to do some kind of sweets, you know, those little things that get sprinkled. So I'm going to go up to my brushes, and I think I go to inking. And this is where you can play around with. You might be able to find a much better brush than myself. I'm just going to go with, let's go with this one here. Okay, this one's looking really, really great. Kind of that syrupy, or you can go with anything that you want. And then it's just a case of me selecting some different colors that's going to go well with my icing. I might start with some yellow. This is where you can play around with your brush size as well. And so if I go over to yellow with my kind of syrupy brush here, and then I start just doing dots, you get an idea. Now, for those that are new to Procreate, two finger tap on your screen will be an undo button. So that'll get rid of it. It's always great to have a bit of a play first before you kind of decide. Now here is where the harder I press, the larger the bits are going to be. So you can play around with your brushes. Once again, you might be able to find a brush that gives you a little bit more of an authentic look for your sprinkles. I'm going to go with this. I think it looks pretty good. And then it's just a case of choosing some color palettes. I'm going to go with kind of the same sort of kind of pale colors here with my sprinkles. And I'm just going to do random ones. Like you can get onto the side a little bit, and you can actually put them on the different side, so you've got a little bit more of an orientated shape that's coming down. I'm just going to be really, really random with this and have a play. You'll find that there'll be lots of things you can do. You might have a stroke kind of brush that you actually put kind of lines of icing on top. So you can have a play around and get really, really creative with those. But it's just a case of repeating that. It's all on a different layer. I'll show you in a minute the layers that you can turn off and on and rearrange. But this is the fun bit where you're just going to town a little bit with your different colors going forward. What we are going to do is after we finish this, we're going to view this in AR, because we've got this beautiful, great little feature of exporting as a USDZ file with my textures. That's looking pretty good. That's looking really great. Now, as I said before, you can get really, really creative with what you can do. So if I want to, say, put some chocolate icing over the top, I could go up to my layers, and you can see here, I've got my layers here. I can turn them on and off just by hitting the little ticks. You can see all the different kind of layers that we're actually putting on. If I create a new layer and actually turn off the sprinkles, what I could actually do is add some chocolate icing over the top of the pink. And then you can rearrange your layers so it actually shows what's on top and what's below. So why don't we do that just so I can share with you. So I'm going to go up to layers. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go back to my color palette and see if I can find like a chocolatey color, like a really kind of thick blacky brown color. That might do there. Then I'm going to go back to my airbrushing. And this time I might go with a little bit of a medium or a harder brush. And then if I decrease my brush size and just do some broad strokes over half of it, it gives me that nice kind of feeling of chocolate. That's looking really good. And so you can see here, but where have my sprinkles gone? Well, if I go back up to my layers tool, I can actually drag them down so that I can actually turn those back on and drag it underneath. So I've got my sprinkles over the top. So I haven't lost anything. How good does that look? So easy to do and getting familiar with the coloring. So all I need to do there is to go up to my little tools up the top here. Oh, let me get back to that. Up to my little spanner here, and I'm going to go to share. Oh, by the way, I can play around with lighting, which won't come through on AR, but it's good to just have a kind of play around with different lighting if you're going to export as a different file format. So I can play around with the different colors and kind of hues and shades of the lighting itself, the intensity. I can do a range of different things there, which is pretty cool as well. But I might go back up to my little spanner at the top here, and I might go with a share and an export as well. You can view it in AR directly. I like to kind of get it out into AR Quick Look. So what I'm going to do there is I'll go to export as a USDZ file, and then I can save that donut to my files ready for AR Quick Look, and I can bring it into Reality Composer and do some really cool stuff with it now that I've got it in the files. I might name it something else. I might say donut final. Always use the word final when I kind of finish a product. Press save. So if I go to the Files app now, you'll be able to see that finished, beautiful, tasty, scrumptious looking donut. And if I do a long press on that, I'll be able to view that in AR Quick Look and actually see what my donut looks like in augmented reality, which is pretty cool. Don't need to do that, but it's just a good way to show. So I've got my table here. I'm just going to move my iPad back and forward a little bit so it picks up the horizontal. It's really big. My donut's huge, so you're going to have to pinch to make it smaller. And there it is there. How good is that? 2 fingers can actually raise your donut, and you can bring it into Reality Composer, do some pretty cool stuff. How good does that look? Our first 3D colored object, which is great. Now, you will have noticed back at the Padlet, we've got lots of tutorials coming for Procreate. Not only is the beginner one with the donut, but we've also got a great little surfboard. Now, with the surfboard one, we're going to look at not only painting directly onto the 3D model of the surfboard, but we're also going to look at how you can bring in images below, so you can actually have images kind of layered on your 3D model. Hope you found that fantastic. Share with us. Paul Hamilton here from UTB.